Everyone else went to bed 2 hours ago. The house is quiet, the notifications have stopped. And for the first time all day, something in you finally exhales. You're not tired, or at least, not in the way you expected to be. If anything, you're more awake than you were at noon. Your thinking is sharper. Your ideas are better. The version of you that exists between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. feels more like the real you than the version that showed up at the 9 a.m. meeting with coffee and apologies. And you've probably been told your whole life that this is a problem you need to fix, that you're lazy or undisciplined, or that you just need to go to bed earlier. Here's what they never told you. It was never a discipline problem. It was biology, and the psychology that comes with it runs deeper than most people realize. Being a night owl isn't a bad habit that got out of hand. It's a chronotype, a genetically influenced biological orientation that determines when your brain naturally peaks in alertness, creativity, and cognitive function. Chronotype research shows that roughly 20 to 25% of people are genuine evening types. People whose circadian clocks are naturally set later than the social world around them demands. These people aren't broken. They're just operating on a different internal schedule than the one society was built around. And that mismatch between when your biology wants to run and when the world expects you to show up creates something researchers call social jet lag. The chronic, low-grade exhaustion of a person who is perpetually living in the wrong time zone inside their own body. Let's break down what that actually builds in you. The first thing is a different relationship with your own mind. Research consistently shows that evening chronotypes score higher on measures of cognitive complexity. The ability to hold multiple ideas in tension, tolerate ambiguity, and think in nonlinear patterns. A study published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences found that night owls consistently outperformed morning types on measures of general intelligence and abstract reasoning, particularly when tests were administered in the evening. Psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa's research at the London School of Economics found that people who preferred staying up late scored significantly higher on intelligence measures, leading him to propose that evening preference may be an evolutionarily novel trait, a sign of a brain that adapted beyond the default. But here's the part nobody talks about. That same cognitive complexity means night owls tend to overthink. The brain that runs beautifully on depth and complexity at midnight is also the brain that lies awake dissecting conversations from 3 years ago. The gift and the curse arrive in the same package. The second thing is a specific kind of creativity, and it's not accidental. Studies from Albrecht and colleagues at the Catholic University of the Sacred Heart found that evening types show significantly higher creative thinking scores than morning types, particularly on tasks requiring original and unconventional solutions. The reason is neurological. At night, the prefrontal cortex, the brain's inner critic and rule enforcer, naturally becomes less dominant, which means the filters that normally suppress unconventional thinking loosen. What gets called tired thinking in the morning is actually a neurologically looser, more associative state at night for evening types, where connections between unrelated ideas form more easily. Every great idea you've had at midnight that felt crystal clear. Every creative solution that appeared at 1 a.m. when you'd given up trying. That was your brain in its actual optimal state, not a coincidence. The third thing is what researchers call reward sensitivity. And this one shapes night owls in ways that go well beyond sleep timing. Studies using functional MRI imaging have found that evening chronotypes show heightened activation in the brain's dopamine reward pathways compared to morning types, meaning night owls are biologically wired to feel the pull of stimulating, interesting, and novel experiences more intensely. This explains why night owls are more likely to take risks, seek novelty, and pursue unconventional paths. But it also explains why night owls are statistically more prone to impulsive decisions, higher rates of substance use, and difficulty maintaining routine structures. The same dopamine sensitivity that makes the night owl's brain seek out depth and stimulation also makes it harder to walk away from things that are interesting, even when the responsible choice is to stop. You're not undisciplined. You're running on a reward system that is calibrated more intensely than most. The fourth thing is something psychologists call revenge bedtime procrastination. And it might be the most honest explanation for why night owls stay up even when they know they should sleep. In a world built for morning people, evening types spend all day performing, waking on someone else's schedule, commuting on someone else's schedule, working at peak demand during the hours when their biology is still warming up. By the time evening arrives, staying up late isn't just preference. It's reclamation. It's the only hours in the day that belong entirely to you. No obligations, no performance, no one needing anything. Research from Daphne Keir and colleagues found that revenge bedtime procrastination is most common among people who feel they have low autonomy over their daytime hours. The night isn't where you waste time. For most night owls, the night is where you finally get to exist without an audience. Now here's the honest part. Social jet lag is real, and it costs night owls something significant. Research by Roenneberg found that for every hour of difference between your biological sleep midpoint and your social sleep midpoint, your risk of depression increases measurably. Night owls who are chronically forced onto morning schedules show elevated cortisol levels, higher rates of metabolic issues, poorer cardiovascular health, and significantly higher rates of anxiety and depression than those who can align their schedule with their chronotype. You have probably experienced this as a kind of low-level, hard-to-name misalignment. The feeling of never quite being fully present during the hours when the world expects your best, and never quite being allowed to give your best during the hours when you actually have it to give. That is not a mindset issue. That is a physiological reality that rarely gets validated. But here's the reframe. The world is slowly, reluctantly catching up. Remote work, flexible schedules, and the growing body of chronotype research are beginning to reshape how companies, schools, and health systems think about the relationship between time and performance. Your chronotype isn't a flaw to be corrected. It's a specification that society hasn't fully learned to accommodate yet. And the qualities that come with it, the depth of thinking, the creative associative mind, the sensitivity to stimulation, the need to reclaim your own time and space, are not liabilities. They're the signature of a brain that runs on a different, richer clock than the one on the wall. You didn't choose to come alive at midnight. Your brain did. Every version of you that felt most real, most creative, most yourself. Between the hours when the rest of the world went quiet. That wasn't you avoiding life. That was you finally living it on your own terms. If this explains something about yourself that you've been defending your whole life, you're not the only one. hit subscribe. There's a lot more about how your brain works waiting to be explained.